Welcome everyone to this Prima Go webinar. And many thanks for giving up your time on a Friday or Friday morning for you guys. We're going to cover off today. We're going to do a brief cover on the punch out setup and what we can offer on the punch out and what the challenges are and the setups are required for that. And then we're going to move on and cover off all the different setups of favorites lists and dealer order pads, pricing and product. That's going to be demonstrated by Jim Smith, one of our team. To cover off all the aspects of that area, because we do get a number of calls in that area, so I thought it's best to cover that. That's going to be followed by Jordan Whitby. He's going to cover off all things email within the store. So there's multiple areas email can be set up, multiple impacts on an email being set up, whether it's an order coming in, an order acknowledgement coming in, or a message going back to your customer, or just a general email message. So he's going to cover that area. And that will then be followed by Dan Walters, who's going to cover off the control panel, from training the control panel, a new feature that's coming in for blog, so you can set up blogging on the site, a new improved way. I think it's pretty fantastic. And then he's also going to cover off the menu layouts, etc. So we've got some improvements coming in there, and then there'll be time at the end for questions. But feel free to put messages in the chat if you want to during the call, and we'll either come back in the call or after the call for you. So again, many thanks for joining the call, and hopefully you can all hear me clearly. I'll speak up a bit louder. So I'm just going to share my screen now.
You're coming across loud day to me, Gary.
Okay, so punch out, which many of you know is a process that's in place that allows your customers who've got an ERP solution or procurement system to utilize that, where they can connect directly to the web. They can make that connection, they can browse, they can add to the cart and transfer those orders back. They can then send those orders back to you either as a PDF where you can key them in, or even better, they can send it back as an electronic order which will come straight into your system and process. Those connections can be set up so they can display the full catalog portfolio, or they can be limited to contracts only. So contract policy, you can limit the products that they want to see. They're also set up that it allows new users, once the connection's set, to connect and create a username. So it's just a seamless process. Okay, we do have setup costs for the process. There is time involved in that setup, but what we do is when you have such a customer that wants to do a punch out, and you'll see on the screen now, we already have a number of procurement systems that we directly linked with, a few to name as Ariba, Cooper, SideQuest, which is Yaga now, Mediprecure, Oracle, SAP, etc. And there's probably a lot of others that are out there that we haven't directly linked, but the background of it is very, very similar. We'll set the account up for you. We always encourage to have a meeting with yourselves and your customer and their procurement provider at the beginning to do the initial test. We'll share the login details and the identity, and then we'll go through in that meeting to see exactly what the setup should be. And that part is really, really important, because a punch out can be very, very basic, where they just literally connect, browse, and send it back to their procurement system to send on to you, as I said before, as a PDF. But then you have to key that PDF in, or it might be, it has to be via an XML, which will come in electronically, and you'll see it in your order list when it comes in. The final part of the punch out process is invoicing and credits. So we can actually have the invoice and credits set up where when you're ready to do your invoice, when the invoice is created, it can be sent directly back to the punch out procurement system that the dealer has. So it makes it a completely seamless process. From time to time, there are updates, not just to our system, but to maybe the Ariba system or the Cooper system, or even the dealer system and the customer system, sorry. And then the best and most efficient way to resolve those issues is a call, which is why we have a monthly service charge for the punch out setup. Punch outs can be set up very, very quickly, but some of them do take a little bit longer when you're involving 3 different parties in that process. So if you do have punch outs, then just contact Maria or Steve, and we'll get the ball rolling for that. Okay. So yeah, have a look. Don't be put off by the punch out. It's an excellent way to transact business, and it's a way, particularly in the US, that a lot of customers, a lot of government authorities and things go down that route. One final thing that we do on the here is if it's a government organization or quite a large company, they don't always want to report on the individual product they bought. They want to report on groups of products. So, they don't want to report on a red pen, a blue pen, a green pen. They want to just report on pens. We can incorporate that all into the process as well by setting up material codes. So we link material codes to the products and allowing everyone to report and see what the spend is, etc. One thing to remember on a punch out is all the budget control and approval process isn't done in Prima in the web. The web is just really a request for the order. So it allows them to connect, browse, add to cart, request that order. It goes back to the system where they handle the approval and the budget control before sending it back to you. Okay, so it's only an order when it comes back to you and not when it's first raised. Okay, so but yeah, the look and feel can be changed appropriately for each customer. Now, hopefully that's given you a bit of an insight into the punch out process. And I say we do have hundreds of these set up now. But what I do now is I move on to some exciting stuff that Jim will go through. So Jim, over to you for you to go through the favorites and the order pads, product and pricing.
Thank you, Gary. Let me just share my screen. Can everyone see that? All right.
Yep.
So let me just get my. So visibility of the web. So when these are for the favorites list. So when you see a favorites list, you will see that we have 3 types: basic favorites list, the company favorites list, and the dealer favorites list. So the dealer favorites list is created by the dealer and associated to all the companies that want to use that single favorites list. It's easy to maintain because it's in one central place, and once that favorites list has been updated, all the connected companies will actually get those changes. A personal favorites list for the individual user is under this, and a shared company order list. It's also referred to in the back office as standard order pad, is actually a company order pad. So that's shared amongst users inside that company. You can put certain restrictions on the order pad to allow a limited number of order pads to show in here, or a limited number of products actually available to individual users. So I'll go through those settings now. So if I just go into Prima, we'll see, just pick up a user. This is on a test database, so bear with. Actually, I'll show the company contacts. So when you want to say you got 500, I always go to 500 for some reason, but imagine the company has got 500 favorites lists set up. The typical user logged in probably doesn't want to see that 500 list and scroll forever every single time they're going through this. So you want to limit just the view of like a 10 favorites list or something, just in this section here. So to do that, you would actually go into a company, go into a contact, pick out a particular user, go into the web access tab, and then we have this restriction. So the default is no restriction. So yeah, they got access to all the order pads and stuff. To restrict to the order pads that are seen would be this one. So restrict order pads, view allowed products. So it doesn't really restrict the products. All it does, it restricts the order pads that are actually shown here. So if I wanted to, if I had 500 for this company, I only want to show 10 for this particular user, you would change this to restricted order pads and then add in the order pads that you want to see here. By default, they see their own favorites list, so that's in a separate area, and the dealer order pads is separate as well. If you want to restrict a user to only see a handful of products, and you want to use the order pads as a way of doing that, one important thing is when you change to this option to restrict to only items in the order pads, make sure you untick this standard catalogs. If you don't untick this, it contradicts this option, because if you got this tick, that means they can see everything. So why restrict it to the order pad? So we'll imagine we're going to untick this, and we're going to say restrict to only items in this order pad, and then we would add the order pads with the items that we want this user just to access. And then you've also got the option of also viewing contracts on top of the existing products that are in the order pads. So that's one way of restricting visibility of products for very IT users that only should be ordering only a handful of products or subsets of products. So that's that section. If you've got a lot of order pads to maintain and you want to set them up initially, instead of going through the process of individually adding an order pad, assigning to a company and all that sort of thing, there's an option in the control panel on the customer order pads. In this section here, we have a download
I just figured you
CSV.
would think we'd be doing it before one or something.
There's a download template CSV here. So if you click this, it'll give you an Excel spreadsheet, and it's just got the headers. All it is account code, SKU, pad name, and item code or SKU. So just type in those three details, and you can, you would repeat the account code for the same pad for all different types of SKUs. Once you've got that, save it, and then upload the CSV here, and then it will actually import and it will reference the account code, cross-check the order pad to see if it already exists, and if it does, then it'll append to it, and also the SKUs, it'll pick up the product and add that particular product to the order pad. Once it's done, you would get this report. So you can see here the last order pad import report is available. So if you click it, it gives you another download of the report when it actually did this. So you can see the account code here. It was Jordan Test. There's UMV of the SKU, and you can see it's created. So if there was an error, you would see this reported, and it's per line. So you can filter through all the report and see which ones didn't work and all that sort of thing. Say it didn't match account code, didn't match SKU, or pad name not included, or something like that. Yeah. So it's got a bit of validation in it. So that is a lot of that. Right. So just to recap on the dealer order pads, in case people are not aware. So the dealer order pads are controlled from the own company. So if we go to here and go to the own company, from here is the wrong place. I always do it. So if we go into SOP and go to pop order pads, we would search for the own company, and we haven't got any in. Right. So we would create a new order pad, set it against their own company. Excuse me. It's not my database. And we'll call it dealer 1. So now that's been created. Now, because it's on the own company, no other companies have owned this yet. So this is brand new. If I add a product to this order pad, I'm going to guess some of these products now. Okay, bad example. Well, just to find an example
I
product.
think on Prima Edge, I don't think there's any products on that database.
Oh, aren't there? Let me just see.
Yeah.
It's wiped clean. Okay. Okay, so the example is you would add order pad items onto this order pad as you would a standard order pad from the back office. And then from this point, you would click this button to share. Right, there we go. Excuse me. It's going to
Wrong database.
order pad. There we go. So here's the order pad. It's called Dealer One, and I want to share it with other companies. So you click on the share button, and then you would just add the account codes against that dealer order pad. So that's one way of doing it. The other way is not as popular, but it is possible, is to use this import routine this way. This was imported as a standard company order pad or favorites list. Once that's done, you can actually turn this into from a company order pad and change it into a dealer order pad and do it that way. So that's another way of controlling the dealer order pads. Let me go into the next section. Okay, so the next section is display products. So initially, once a product is searched via the keywords, we select the search ordering option for relevancy. This is for mainly, right, for the American audience. We've got 3 flavors of the Webstore. So we've got an SBR specific Webstore, which only relates to the SBR catalog. We've got an Ascendant style Webstore, which uses the Ascendant only. But we've also got our multi-catalog, which combines catalogs together. So you have your highest priority would display first, and then other products that don't match the highest priority would filter through and use that. So there'd be a combination. So if you did have a multi-site, you would see, and you say you had Ascendant and SBR on the same site, the majority would be highest priority, which say in this case is maybe SBR. And then any other products that are searched that don't match anything in the SBR catalog would shows the next catalog, which could be Ascendant. So you might have the combination of SBR and the Ascendant codes shown on this page. When you're on an SBR site, I can't really speak for a lot of the relevancy responses on that because that uses their own engine. The same goes for Ascendant, and we basically send the keywords across to that system, and we would just get what they perceive as the highest priority coming back from the searches. Let me just do a search. So this is an SBR one. So there's some of the options coming through. Excuse me. When you're actually logged in this section, when you go into, say, the favorites list, and I don't think I've got an option for favorites list, you would actually see, I've got to find an option. I don't think I've got any. Sorry, I'll have to borrow somebody else's. Let me just. Some fingers, there's going to be an odd pattern. Okay, so my popular items. So this is a favorites list. So it's not a company one, it's a particular own favorites list. And click onto this. And click on it. Okay, so there's different options for different flavors of the Webstore. So for SPR sites, the standard options are order by name, price, and code. When you're on a Ascendant, it's the same. But then when you're on a multi-catalog, we've got the option, because we use our own groups, and we can actually order the favorites list by category. And in doing so, it will order by category and show the header in the different sections. I can show you an example of that after this. In fact, if I go into Hesco, I'm going to apologize to that user for kicking them off if they were on. No. If I don't find an example, I'll leave that for another day. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. For multi-catalogs, when we're actually searching for products, this is coming from our own Elastic data. Now, sometimes you might see some of these product codes that come back. Oh, sorry, I'll do the price. So order by price. When we actually do order by price, if I click onto this, every single price you see is a calculated price. And we don't actually store this. This is the process that's done afterwards. And that's why you saw the products loaded and then you actually saw a spiral and then the price loaded. What we base a lot of these off is the RSP price. And using that as a loose generalization, we can order it initially and then we calculate the price and add that on afterwards. Now, you do get some issues with this because when you're actually logged in, it does its best, but I've seen this on other sites who also use this way of processing. If I go right down to the bottom, you see $1.05 there. We go all the way down to the bottom, you'll see 138. And if I go to the next page, it's not going to be guaranteed that 138 is the cheapest, the least expensive. So there we go. I'm getting $1 and $1.95. And it's only because we can't do a calculation against all of the search options that actually get returned, especially when somebody is returning a lot more products. If I search for red, doing a calculation of live price for 11,000 products is a very hefty usage of our resources, and it would slow down the user experience on the website dramatically. So we need to find a compromise. So the compromise we found is using the RSP as just a way of doing that. This whole area is going to be improved by maybe looking at the contract prices and maybe use that first before using just all the standard products. But you have to wait in the wings for that one. For multi-site catalogs, sometimes you might see this appear. So this looks weird, but it's our way of identifying to you that these products need attention. So this is a demo site, so there's going to be a few of these. But effectively, this is our internal PG number, which we match the products to. And this doesn't match for this web store has probably got Ascendant or SPR associated to it. This PG number doesn't match any products that are on those catalogs. So we've got no information to actually show. So the only thing we've got is we've got a generic description and we've got no SKU and we got no image for it. So that's how it will be presented when we've got not enough information. To help us try and identify why that's actually came through on the web, if we click this button, there we go. We got item code there. And it shows you where it is and when it was added. So you can actually trace that product and find out why that's still there and it's not been associated to any catalog. And maybe it needs attention, maybe it needs being brought off the web or off an order pad or something like that. So it's for internal inspection. The last thing I would look at is, I think I've covered everything actually.
Jim, just mention about the SPR favorites list sorting by name. Meaning it's not sorting because of the feed we're getting, but what we're doing about it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
1 second. Was it when when this was reported? Was it name and code, or was it just name? I think it was name and code, wasn't it? Yeah. So
Didn't
I'm
say
in
name,
I'm in a favorites list here. This is an SPR, and we don't actually upload these to SPR. So this is an internal ordering issue. So when we order by name or code, you can see I'm ordering by code, and the SKUs aren't being ordered by. So that's an issue that's internal. We've got the information, and we just need to change the query to actually make this happen.
That'll be done for the next release, Jim, won't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Cool, thank you.
And it's the same for code and name. It's the same thing. So, and that's being done.
Thank you, Jim. So that's given a good insight into the order, the favourites lists, the products and pricing. Just hand you over to Jordan now to go through email setup. This only take around about 5 minutes to do this bit.
Yeah, I'm just going to quickly go over all the emails that come out from the web, just on mainly on the control panel. There is just one setting that I will go through on the back office just to make sure everybody knows about it. So if I share my screen now. We're good with that? Can we see that? I think so. Okay, so can you just confirm, Gary, that you can see my screen?
I can see your screen. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Okay. Okay. So this first setting is in the back office. So to get to this setting, you're going to go to companies, and then you're going to search for the company that you're going to be using, and then open it. And then there's some tabs up here at the top. So you want to click into customer, and there's this checkbox down here at the bottom called email and web order. Not everyone might not know what that means. So essentially, this is to include the sales manager in the order acknowledgements that go out from the web store. So there's this setting, and it pairs with another one that goes in the control panel. You have to have both ticked in order for it to work. So with this as well, you need to make sure that this particular company. Sorry, we're going to say something. No. Someone's about to speak. Sorry. So you need to make sure that you've got an account manager assigned, and you need to make sure that this account manager has an email address, otherwise it will not get sent out. So the setting that needs to be paired with this for it to work is in the control panel. So I've headed over to the control panel here. You want to go to System, Settings, and then Email. So this is the setting that I'm on about here at the top. So allow company sales manager to be CC'd on customer order confirmations. So you need this to be ticked and the one in the back office for those emails to go out on the order confirmations. And now this page mainly covers all the emails that go out, and this is sort of like BCC or CC and other email addresses into those particular emails. So for this first one, this is for the customer order acknowledgements. So this is the only one on this page where you can have multiple email addresses. So with this, you can enter an email address. Then if you want to add another one, you just separate it with a semicolon, and you can add as many as you want. And then these will be copied in to the order acknowledgements. So I don't know, this might be good for a salesperson, for example. So the next one is, so when the user receives an email from your store, you can enter this email address here, and you can say like, oh, it's from, I don't know, for example, oex@sales.com, and then that's so the user knows who it's come from then. So say if they're registering for an account, that's where the from address will be. If you don't fill this in, then it's going to take your domain name. So it'll be like, for example, this is my test version. So it's the Webstore Jordan at noreply.co.uk or something like that. Oh, sorry, it'd be no reply at, and then your domain name. So it'd be no reply at Jordan webstorejordan.com or .co.uk. So yeah, that's if you don't fill it in. And again, this is for one address only. I've tried to make it clear here because some people do try and add multiple and it doesn't save and they wonder why. So yeah, this is just one, and the next one is also one. So this is for registration emails and requesting an account. So this is again someone being copied into the email. This can be one address, one email address. Again, this is probably good for a salesperson, especially because if it's someone signing up for your store. And then the next one is for automated tasks. And I know this page is missing at the moment. Well, it's not missing, but the only way you can get to these tasks is from this link here. I think we need to add a section somewhere here on the left so you can actually get to this page. So I'll show you what these are. So these are automated tasks. So these can be set up for a number of things. So in here you can give it a name, and these are all the different things that you can set it up for. So you've got abandoned baskets. So you can choose if you want to send out an email daily to remind you that there's abandoned baskets. There's one here for expiring images that you've got on the store. So again, you could say you could do that daily, or you could do it weekly, or whatever. It's up to you. You can set a start date here. You can enter an email address, who you want it to go to, and then here you can set like hours, days, weeks, months, years, and how many times you want to repeat it per day, per hour, etc. So you've got bad emails. So this could be anyone in your system who's got an email address that's invalid. Say, for example, it's not got an @ symbol in it, etc. This will let you know, and it will send out an email to you. This is quite helpful as well if you've got any expired catalogs. This will send out an email. Same for duplicate PGs and recent orders no mail. This is important. This one. Someone placed an order, but their user hasn't got an email. The user might not get the email, but the order's gone through, so they might not know that it's gone through. So this will email you and let you know all the email addresses that who's placed an order that they've not received the email, basically. So that's quite an important one. And I think lastly, I was going to cover the email template. So here's a list of all the emails that go out from the web store, and in here you can kind of, if you want to click into it, you can add like a little bit of text at the bottom of it. So you can, for example, for this one, I've just put "Thank you for registering your web store account with us." You can change a few of the colours on the header. You can change the subject. So you can do that for all the emails. And if you just want to check what they look like, you can just click preview here, and this will just show you. So it'll put your company logo in the top here. This is just a test, obviously. So this one from Titanic, and it. But this will show you. I'm going to open the screen up. This will show you what the email should look like, so you can get a taste of what it looks like before, or when you're happy or you've finished editing it. This will show you. And then if you do add a little message in it, then that that will appear. So this, thank you for your order. So after all this content here, it'll show it somewhere at the bottom saying thank you for your order. I mean, it's probably, I wouldn't advise putting it on the order acknowledgement because you've got all the information there anyway, but it's up to you what you put on there. But you have freedom to edit them, change the colour. And yeah, that's about it really for the web emails. Unless you can think of anything else, Gary, I think that's about it.
That's very good. So thank you, Jordan, for that. We'll just hand over to Dan.
I was gonna say, if I've missed anything, just ask in the chat. I'll answer your question. Yeah, thank you.
Hand over now to Dan to go through his element of the presentation.
Okay, so can you hear me fine, yeah?
We can.
And you can see my screen now?
Yep.
Good.
Off we
Okay.
go.
Great. Okay, so I'm just going to go through a few topics here. So the first thing I'm going to go through is the control panel. So this is kind of what you should be logging into now. So I think the path, the URL is golive.primasoftware.co. And on there, you'll get this this dashboard. So some of you may have already seen this, but there's still ongoing developments within the control panel. So at the top here, you've got kind of a breakdown of some summaries within the past 30 days. Here we have the business overview for your particular web store. On to the right, information regarding your company. Importantly here as well is whether your EDC is online or offline, because this is crucial for syncing the products to the web. And there's a link to the Prima marketplace as well, which will be used for making any kind of adjustments to the product details. I will emphasize as well, a lot of the information on this dashboard is related to web information only. So if you want a kind of a more comprehensive details, including the back office details, you need to use the back office application to find that in more detail. There's a few handy buttons here for useful features. So one that you may find useful as a dealer is the login as user, which is a feature that was in the old control panel, but has been tweaked slightly. But here you can search for the company name or code, and then that'll find the associated users to that particular company. If you, for some reason, only have a contact name and not a company name, you can search by contact. You click on contact, and you can search the contact, login name, or just their contact name. That was if I search, like for instance, myself. Oh. No, I can't spell my own name. That's a good start. You can see there, and it will take me straight to that user, and then I can connect to that user account. You have the product problem checker, which is a handy feature to find any kind of issues why a product may not be showing on the web, or any kind of other issues regarding that particular product. So you just enter the SKU or stock code or item code. I think there's a few different names for that. And you can filter by the company, so you can see the view for that particular company and that view for that particular contact. And then these are some other handy quick jumps to different sections within the actual control panel itself. You have like an overview of your orders, so you can get hopefully a rough idea of how many of your users are returning users, or how many of the order sales are returning or new users. And then you can see kind of a rough breakdown of what status these orders are actually at the moment. And there is a little bit more detail if you click on this detailed view on the top right, and you get an idea of the broken down by company. And within each company, we get the username, the status of that particular one, when it was created, in the reference, internal and customer reference, the total of that order, and whether a PO has been generated for that particular order. To the right of that, you'll see the top selling products. Now this will show the past 31 days, but you can adjust this. So if you want to see for a particular period, you can see a particular difference in that. Let's go to this. So for instance, between June and now, these are my top selling products. And then beneath here we have the abandoned baskets, which is a useful thing to monitor. Again, this is broken down by company, and you can see the contact, how much have they spent, and when they last abandoned that basket. It's a good way and a good opportunity to actually contact them and see if there's a reason why they've cancelled the order, if there's a way to encourage them to actually continue processing that order, or if they had any kind of particular issues while processing that order. The view all will also take you into a screen which we've had on here before, which is in customers and abandoned baskets, which is just the whole list of all the abandoned baskets you do have on that store. So on the homepage, it's just like a little brief overview. I think it's approximately about 10 abandoned baskets, the most recent ones. You can delete these off once you've managed to resolve any kind of issues, or hopefully made the sale. So then you can filter through and keep on top of the most recent ones. To the right of that, you have the search trends. So here you get an insight into what is the most popular thing that's been searched on your particular web store. So this is ordered by the most new recent search. So just to kind of get better to explain that is if we go in the detailed view, we can see that the value X search term was first searched in May, and then the one beneath that was searched in well, actually, these are the UK dates, is in March. And although that's higher, clearly this value X is the predominant search more recently. However, if you just focused on the highest searched item overall, you can change this. If you press this drop down here, it'll order it by the highest search item. You can also find what's the newest thing that's been searched by, again, clicking on these drop downs, and then the thing that's been searched most recently. So in this case, again, it's all the value X code, well, text. Here, then you have your top selling categories. You can get a breakdown. I'm assuming all the writing instruments is Gary buying red pens as being one of the top selling subcategories. And then on the right hand side of that is you can see the user activity, which is kind of a breakdown of changes that are made throughout your web store and the control panel. And again, it kind of grabs at most 10 from each section. And if you want to find more about the particular, well, explore it more in detail, you can go into the view all as well on that one. From the old control panel, if you're familiar with that, we've kind of merged some categories together. So anything relating to the look and feel of your store should be located or moving into this design section, and anything pertaining to data should be predominantly within this data section. So one thing that we have actually introduced is the use of blogs. So this is to be added actually as a module to a page. So if we're going to design and modules and scroll to the very bottom, we have a new section here which is called blog. And here you can add as many blogs as you want, but this is just the one that I have for now. And if you jump into that, you can change the title of the blog, the promotion text, which I'll go into in a second, and whether or not that this particular blog is active. Within that, then is these the entries against that blog, and the department that I've assigned to it, the author, whether or not there is a thumbnail allocated to that particular blog entry, whether or not it's promoted, and if it's active or not. So if I go into this one here, you can see this is where you can customize the title of your blog entry, the date of your blog entry. This, again, is just free text, so you can set this to anything you want. So your author and department can be any text that you wish. It doesn't have to be included as well, so if you don't include it, it will not be present. And then you can add a thumbnail as you want. And then this is where you put your body of your blog. Now, this can contain images. It can be styled in a certain way that you want. But at the moment, I've just got a simple free text. So you can build, you can build this up to, so the intention was for this to be for blogs, but this can be used for other aspects. So if you want anything kind of with a hierarchy of pages and connected with information, this is one way to achieve that. And so you could, so as I say, we call it blog, but you can use it for other things if you choose. Then to add this to a page, you do this in the same way you do with any kind of module. So if you go to design and page layout, on the left hand side, I've created a brand new page, which you can create pages by pressing create new page here. Let's go back and then go into this section here, and this is where you can build up that page. So here I've added in a banner, and I've added in my blog module. So if I go to my web store and I go to my blog, you can see here that this is how the information is shown. Now, if you want to so this will show, sorry, in relation to the date. So the newest entry will appear at the top, and obviously if we're using promoted, this is then it gets promoted at the top. So this goes back to the text that I showed you before. So you can I've chosen the word promoted, and that's what will be displayed here. And this then prioritizes that over the additional articles, but also ordered by date. So then if I jump into the article, so just continue reading, you get to see the contents of your article that you've got there. As I say, this can be customized however you want within the control panel, and then the ones that you have promoted will appear on the right hand side. You can also, if you choose, display it differently. So again, this is one option of displaying that. So if I just go back again, so you could have, as I've built this, it can add modules to the right of the page, so that it makes everything shift slightly as a consequence of doing that. And you can as well, if you decide to have it more as a side module, save that. You can have it appear like this, so that'll appear to the left. So if you want it just to be on the side of any of your main content, it's an option there as well. And a useful feature as well, just to remind everyone, if you are in here and you see a particular module that you want to amend and you can't quite recall where you need to jump to, there's often a little pencil here which you can click onto, which will jump you straight to the module to be able to make the modification to that. So this does that for the blog. Yes, we've covered that aspect. So one other thing that we do have as well is we're trying to improve the overall SEO of the actual web stores, so they appear higher up in the Google return results. So one thing we have done that to make changes to that is if you go into, now this might appear differently depending on the catalog. So I think it's only really available for the people on the multi-catalogs. If you go into the parent category, so this is mine's for furniture. Now mine's got test data, so it is incorrect of the subcategories belonging to that. But here you'll see that we've actually provided the categories that belong within the parent category, and then of that category we have these subcategories. So again, we're trying to provide Google with as many keywords in relation to your store, to hopefully to bump that up there. So these are all kind of that additional information. And if we scroll further down, we get a little bit more information regarding the keywords. And then we also have this little slideshow of the top 18 brands within this particular category. And if we have the icon, it will show the icon. If we don't, you'll just get some simple black text, as you can see here. And if they click the icon, the users will then do a search. So, if I click this one, it'll search for the brand Avery. We have also added additional, I think it's about 400 icons as well. So you should, if they have been missing, that they should hopefully start coming through onto the actual product listing page as well, which does the same thing. If you click the icon, it'll do a search for that brand, for that user, for that web store. Just to mention as well, with the this arrangement as well of how these appear can actually be adjusted as well. So if you want to have your top selling subcategory to appear at the top, or if you just want to change the layout, for instance, this accessories one may look a bit out of place with it in relation to everything else. If you go into the control panel and then go to data, and then go to all categories, and then within, say, for instance, my furniture section, I could bring, let's say, chemicals to the top, and that should save instantly. So then if I refresh this, I should see now that the chemicals has appeared at the top of my list. So it's just a good way of adjusting that to either what you find, either things that you want to promote, things that are your best sellers, or if you just want to change the look and feel of your actual site. The last thing I'm going to cover very briefly, because it's still in development, is the requesting the quotes. So one ability that we want to enable dealers is to be able to put a quote onto the web, which we have kind of supported, but we're just doing some tweaks to that. And one big tweak we're doing for this is if you go into it for the end user, is if they go into their cart, they will see a button. Once they've built up a cart, there will be a button on the right hand side which says request a quote. And this will grab everything that they've put into that cart, send it to the dealer, and then the dealer can then choose to whether to offer it to offer a quote. So once they've pressed that, as I've done previously, you'll see that there's a little icon here, a notification of available quotes. And if we go into my view quotes, we can see that this one's pending. So this will then require the dealer to go onto the back office, and then they can make the amendments that they want to for that particular quote, and then send it back to the end user to actually put through that quote. So we'll just click onto it. So for the end user, while it's pending, this is what they'll see when they click onto it. There we go. So it shows that the quote status is pending. So once it's been approved by yourselves, they then have the option to either approve that quote at the price that you've offered, they can decline it, or they can then press request a requote. So that they'll give them the option to put some text to say, for instance, I'm not happy with the price, or I want a slightly better deal. Then they can put that into that message. Then that message will get sent back to you, as long as but changing the status of the quote for you to approve. Once everyone's happy and they approve the quote, it'll move into the cart section, and then they can carry on shopping as normal with those quoted items. So they can add additional items to the cart alongside the quoted items. They can also add more of the same items. So, for instance, in this scenario, if they quoted for 5 of these, and so if you put a quote for 5 of these, they can add more, so they can buy 10 at that price, but they can't go below that. So when you give them a quote of, say, the number of units that they can have, that is the minimum they have to take. But they can add more to that particular quoted item and then put that through at the same price. But as I say, I can't fully demonstrate that just yet because it's still in testing stages. But this is, again, just a brief look at that. So yeah, I think that's all my topics. So I'll hand you back to Gary.
Thank you, Dan. Okay, I think we have just overrun slightly here. Just saying, this is the recap. We obviously went through all the punch-out process, favourites lists, and all the PAS product and pricing. You had an insight into all the different email settings, and I guess a lot of you will be going away checking that now. Dan's covered a lot on the control panel and the features that offers, and exciting new features that come into the store. We are, and thanks, Jeff, for your question on Google Shopping. We do link into the Google Shopping feed, and but it does extend beyond that into the Google Merchant Center, etc. And there's a lot in there. So what we're going to do is build a separate webinar for that to go through, because it's really, really good for you, where you can link into and get up at your SEO up on Google ranking. And then we will be doing a separate webinar on product weighting, which I think would take the whole session, because there's a lot to cover. And we're actually still improving that process. We're putting a release in this weekend, hopefully move it much further forward. So there's 2 more webinars that we're going to be pushing out in the next few weeks. And all I can say is thank you for your time and the questions that you've asked all the way through. I think we've answered all the questions that have come up so far. But if you put the phone down and think, I wish I'd asked that, please email in. But after that, I can say thank you for attending. Thank you for Jim, Dan, and Jordan, our developers, for doing the presentation so well. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Gary, and everybody else.
Thank you.